Hi, in this video I'm going to review the Kiko Milano Water Eyeshadows, and I'm also going to include a little demonstration / tutorial so that you can see how you can come up with a beautiful eye makeup look. Now in total they have 18 different shades which have all a shimmer finish. I personally just picked the 3 of them so that I can either use them individually or also use them in combination to come up with a beautiful look. Now I'm going to start off with the first shade, which is called Champagne, and this is a beautiful shimmery shade, and it also has like a wave as pattern, which I believe is also, this is why they called it water eyeshadows. Now you can use this one like dry or wet, this is totally your preference. I've tried it both ways, and this is also what I'm going to show you in this tutorial. And I've also swatched them on the back of my hand, so in the middle you can see the shade Champagne. It has a beautiful shift, and it's definitely not too strong, but also has enough color to show off, not only shimmer. Then moving on to the next one, and also the packaging is very cute and also very handy because it's so small and compact. Now the second one broke on the way, like where I got it, so I believe that this happens while it was delivered or on the way by it, which is really sad because all the other ones are fine, so something must have happened. But still, it doesn't really change the mind that I'm going to try it out and also give you a beautiful review about it. This one is called Olive. I'm not going to tilt it too much because I don't want to lose all the pieces, and it's the upper shade right here, which is a beautiful olive shade, as the name it already says. And now lastly, I've picked also a darker one, which has also a beautiful shimmer finish, which is called Coffee. And this is the one right here on the bottom, and those are also beautiful. Now I'm going to start off with one shade that I want to use on the main lid area so that you can see how they perform when you're using them individually, and then later on also combine it. So I'm going to use the shade Olive on the main lid area, and I'm also going to use it wet at first. So I have my cup of water right here, as well as using it on a flat eyeshadow brush. You can also use your finger, dip it in, but you can also use a brush, whatever you prefer. I'm going to start off with my finger actually, just because the application is much easier. I'm going to wet the finger, then using a bit of the shadow. What I've also noticed is that they're still a little bit like firm, but they are also soft at the same time, which is a really interesting and weird texture. So this is what the shade looks like when it's wet. So the color is even more intense, and the shimmer as well. So I'm going to focus this one on the main lid area, as well as blending it towards the corners and the crease. So my finger is still wet, the eyeshadow itself is wet itself, let's say damp. And I'm going to start pressing it onto the lid area. And it just has a beautiful shimmery finish, but at the same time also has enough color, which I truly love a lot, because sometimes it's either a little bit more like shimmer than color, or the other way around, which also depends on the formulation. But I really like the combination of having enough shimmer as well as also having enough color. Now what you can also do is that I have applied it now wet with my finger. I'm now going to use a dry brush to blend the edges, so that I'm not going to add any more water to it, but still can soften the edges. So now that I have used the shade Olive on the main lid area, it looks gorgeous. Just use a bit of mascara and this is already the look. And you can do this with any other shade. Now I also wanted to show you how you can combine, let's say, 3 colors together. So I'm going to start off now using Coffee towards the outer corner so that we can add a little bit of depth to it. I'm also going to use the same brush that I used earlier to soften the edges. I'm going to use this shade Dry for the outer corner. Why? Because I want to keep it a little bit softer. If you're going to use it with water, it will intensify the color as well as also the shimmer. So it depends on what finish you wanted to create for your eye makeup look. For the main lid area, using it wet is amazing. But now for the outer corner, I want to keep it a little bit softer, because I've also noticed while using them that the pigmentation is extremely strong. So a little bit goes a long way. And so this is now how much I've picked up with the brush, which might already be a little bit too much. We will see. I also have a clean blending brush just in case if it gets a little bit too intense. And so I'm just going to use this one towards the outer corner. Now what I also truly love is that you can use them, doesn't matter like how you use them. I've used the main shadow now wet, it dries down to also a dry finish but still keeps the pigmentation. Now I'm using the one on top with a dry finish, but it still works beautifully without having any other issues. And I just can blend this one into the green. Now it depends on how much you're going to use, either on your finger or on a brush. You will notice that you may have just a tiny bit of fallout, especially also with the darker colors, which, I mean, if you're using powder eyeshadows, this can happen. If you're using them wet, then the likelihood of having fallout is very less, let's say. But if you're going to use them dry, it can happen. But it's not really of a big deal. Like for the amount of product that I've just used to create depth, there's not much fallout and you just can easily clean it up later on. Now I'm just going to use a blending brush to soften the edges. Then going back into the green and just placing it on top. Like those are really pigmented, I do have to say, so you don't need a lot. So moving on to the inner corner, and for the inner corner I'm going to use the champagne shade. Keep in mind you can use them individually on the main lid area as well, which will look gorgeous. But I just wanted to show you a beautiful combination. You can also wet your finger or also take a brush. I'm now going to take a brush, something to have a little bit of a change going on so that you can see also how it performs. I'm going to dampen the brush or wet the brush, not too much, because I don't want to have that it's going to run down the inner corner. Just wanted to add a little bit more of a damp and also more intense highlighting point right here. Then digging into the shadow and focusing it towards the inner corner. Just look at how strong it is and also how reflective it is. By just using it a bit with water, it just does already everything. And then you can also tap off always a little bit of water, as well as also shadow on the back of your hand or on your finger, so that you can get it also less intense depending on what you're looking for. But those shadows are amazing. And just the reflection, and it also keeps it while it has already dried down, which is also great. Now I'm going to do the same on the other side. Just a little bit towards the inner corner, and that's already it. So now I just added a bit of mascara to finish off the makeup look, and this is something that you can easily recreate at home, individually or combining those 2 to 3 shadows together to come up with a beautiful and amazing eye makeup look. Now all in all, I personally really do love that you can use them wet or dry. You can use them either alone or in combination without losing the pigmentation and the shimmer of it, which is so great. And it's also not going to end up with a weird texture on the eyeshadow itself, because sometimes not every powder eyeshadow is meant for a wet application, because then you can kind of destroy the powder eyeshadow. But with this one it doesn't happen. Now if I want to use it dry, I can use it dry without a problem. Now I also wanted to mention what the cost is for one eyeshadow, like for one water eyeshadow. It will cost you around $9 US, which is definitely not too much for how much you are getting. Also for the use that you can use it. You can use them in so many different ways, and also you can use them to create a beautiful liner with it. And this is also where I wanted to link you to a video that if you're curious on how you can use eyeshadow to use it as an eyeliner, then you can also watch this one right here. But also if you want to have a look at the Kiko Milano stick eyeshadows, then you can also watch it right here. Now I do hope that you enjoyed this review as well as also a little tutorial, and if you like this video, don't forget to give the thumbs up as well as share it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon in the next one. Bye!